Injury news for the Bills as we get ready for game day on Sunday. 3 players have been ruled out as they get ready to go down to Charlotte to take on the Panthers Sunday at 1. Wide receiver Josh Palmer, defensive tackle Daquan Jones, and safety Taylor Rapp. And for Rapp, he is being placed on IR as he recovers from his knee injury. Dalton Kincaid, Terrell Bernard, and Matt Milano are all thought to be questionable, but we'll get the official game day designations later on this afternoon. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. Pre-game on Sunday is going to get underway at 7 a.m. and carry you all the way to kickoff at 1 p.m., where we'll hand things off then to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. And do stay tuned. Later on today at 5, Sal is going to join the show to give us the latest on the Bills. A couple of fines to the New York Giants for violating the NFL's concussion protocol while quarterback Jackson Dart was being evaluated, this all the way back on the 9th of this month. The team as a whole has been fined at $200,000, head coach Brian Dable $100,000, and running back Cam Scadaboo $15,000. Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown not practicing for a 3rd straight day with a hamstring. And then speaking of hamstrings, Lamar Jackson, a full participant for the Ravens today as he looks to make his return to the 1-5 Baltimore Ravens. Sabres game day tonight. They are home against Toronto. Pre-game at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. For television purposes, this is an ESPN Plus and Hulu game. So if you do want to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray, it's going to be right here on WGR. Alex Lyon expected to get the start in net, and it does appear that Jason Zucker will not miss any time after having to leave Wednesday night's game early. Sabres will also be in Toronto tomorrow at 5. And speaking of Toronto, Game 1 of the World Series tonight just north of the border. Blue Jays hosting Dodgers, first pitch just after 8 p.m. Trey Savage gets the start for Toronto, and Blake Snell gets the go for Los Angeles. And Sports Talk on WGR is presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch local NFL games live every Sunday all season long and visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My dad's not here right now. He's still at work. So I'm going to blast him.
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I'm going to see if there's a clean version so that my parents and the people at my school will not get mad at me. We've got the spritzer filled with water just in case if stuff gets too fire. I'm going to set up the speaker and I'm going to listen to
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
I think this is the best
Mike Schopp
feature that I've heard in a long time. I think his flow is really good in it, and I like his aggressiveness on it, and
the Bulldog.
Put not enough effort in it. I think overall his flow was good, but I don't like that mumble rapping. That was my review of
Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Didn't need the spritzer. Wasn't fire enough. No spritzer for you. No spritzer.
Football Friday brought to you by Celino Law. Car crash? Call Celino, call the 8s, and by Crosby's Pizza and Subs, Crosby's Hometown Fuel, game day ready since 1922.
Oh, I am game day ready.
Are you?
Oh, I'm ready to go. What do you want? What do you want here?
I think you know.
You want bold, insane predictions? You want unfounded, barely conscious bravado? Do you want unreasonable criticism of the Carolina head coach?
That's exactly what I want. Hate.
The guy's a joke. Hate. You know what's happening here? This guy, Dave Canales is his name, in case you don't know. He's the head coach and lead punk of this Syracuse team. No, he's the head coach of this Carolina.
Who would know his name?
Little slap shot for you. I don't know. That's why all week I've had a real problem. You've asked me like 3 different times, I think, at the top of shows, like, what do you got? I'm like, I'm passing. I'm here to say today that I found something to dig in on, and after initially thinking, like I thought about it yesterday, I thought maybe it's just too frivolous.
Wow.
But
I have no idea what this is going to be.
I have decided, this guy, a little Gruden too. I mean, I'm all over the road already here. I brewed a pot of coffee. And I haven't really had any yet, but anyway.
Just you were close enough to it?
I smelled it. I don't know. I poured it. It's going to get worse. I touched the coffee. This guy, Canales, he cannot coach his team up enough to beat the Bills, compete with the Bills, be on the same field with the Bills without pulling some underhanded, dirty pool nonsense. You know what he did this week? Did you hear about this? He signed former Bills practice squad quarterback Mike White.
Okay. I wasn't going to figure that out.
You got to stoop to asking Mike White how their offense works because you can't watch the tape yourself and figure it out. Then you don't belong on the same field. Just get out of here, Canales. I got to talk to Mike White. I don't know what to do. Somebody get Mike White on the phone. Embarrassment.
Mike White. The bingo card metaphor or whatever that is just gets completely misused constantly. But if I literally did have a bingo card with what that was going to be in the end, I would not have had Mike White on it.
You wouldn't have won.
No. Oh, you didn't have that on your bingo card. Explain to me why I would have had a bingo card and what is this? What are you actually telling me? No, I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's happening. So,
I
guess we're in real trouble. They're going to know all the Bills' plays.
Well, I think we need to care more about whether the Bills know the Bills' plays
Good
right now, right?
Good point.
I have been asking you, somehow finding time in and around questions about Dave Canales. Before these games, if there is a winning score that would bother you, like can the Bills just win this next game by any score and that's fine? And you've said yes every time. I mean, that there isn't a winning outcome that would bother you.
Right.
I am at a point with this game where there is.
Yeah, I said that already this week. Like I want to give the first time you asked me this week, I did I want to sit with I want to sit quietly and ponder like Josh Allen did when he was talking to Marty Smith before the Monday Night Football game 2 weeks ago, and give you the answer. And I sort of quoted Allen, like, I want to tell you one thing. I know how I want to feel, but if I'm being honest, here's the real nuts of it. And that's how I feel about this game. 2-0, fine. Just give me a win. Keep moving. Just figure your stuff out. You're still not fully formed. I don't know what the hell to do with you, but you won. Good. I don't know. That doesn't feel good enough right now. I think personally and obviously professionally, I need a Bills win that just sort of calms everybody down. I mean, I joke around about we're not going to make it to January. It's really that I'm not going to make it to January.
You know what? This is week 8, and how many of those have there been this year? 1. The Jet game is the only game.
Right.
That's the last time they covered. Baltimore was like just such a fluke. The Jet game is the only game like this year out of 7.
Where they just sort of got
6 out of 6.
Sort of got in the car and went for a nice drive. That was the Jet.
They were never in trouble.
We got this. Yep.
And most NFL games are not like that. It's not like they should be. But my standard for them has become when they're playing bad teams, they rip them. Like they take the fun out of it not for Bills fans, but for anybody else. Like they just sort of like, this is much the better team. And they haven't had that this year. And you can make excuses for that. I mean, what did Kansas City do last year? Kansas City went to Carolina last year and barely won. Like, field goal at the end, maybe, to win that game. Like that was
it looked like it might go to overtime, but then I think KC pulled it out before OT.
Yeah, so if say that happens Sunday, you can be right there with, well, I mean, was Kansas City good enough last year because they had this against Carolina? They had that a bunch of times. And I know, but I think I've been talking to a couple of people today from outside of the area just about how this is going. One guy I know from L.A. And, they want to know sort of what does it sound like here? And I feel like it's natural because not only are we so close to it, but we are actually obligated to talk about it every day for a long time. I think it's sort of natural that you would talk yourself into not panic, but stress. Like, I think that's happened to me this week.
It absolutely. I think it happens, whether fans are conscious of it or not. I mean, I don't even know that you or I are as it's happening, but I think you can sort of maybe take a breath here after a whole week's worth of shows. It definitely happens. The longer you stare at anything, right? Stare at it, talk about it, think about what to say about it, be asked the same question 50 different ways about it, and try to come up with maybe at least 49 different responses because, it's a radio show. You don't want to just sound like you're a broken record. And, yeah, I mean, that lends itself to making everything into a bigger problem than it is. I think that's just natural. That happens, I think, in all kind of, outside of sports. You can do it with your relationships, whatever. Overthinking, yes. I think that definitely can happen because I think, I don't know how much more this LA person was not one of the people at the pool with Ross yesterday in his underwear, by the way.
He would never have admitted it if he were.
But I think from the further away you get from it, the easier it is to sort of look at them the way that maybe we were looking at Kansas City last year. Man, they're really fortunate, but they keep winning, and I'm still going to have to deal with them. And I think that's probably the objective view on the Bills. They're still one of the Super Bowl favorites. They still have this quarterback, and it's been, the ship has been listing different ways. Offense can't score enough points. Defense is getting chewed up, etc. But the overall, I mean, those are all problems I think we could see coming potentially. They're still that team, and so they're not a perfect team, but I think they're still one of the best teams in the league. Like at the end of 2 weeks of talking about all this, I think that's still who they are and what they are.
Was it Sal who made the point this week about like who are we inclined to compare them with? Like who are the teams? They're not to be compared with great teams from other years, even themselves necessarily.
That's right. Sal has made the point that you're playing this year's AFC. You're not playing the last 5 years worth of the AFC. You're playing this year's.
And I guess I would say whether they're a top 5 team necessarily or not, there isn't a team that I would assume they would lose to, right? Or just think that would be a big problem. The Colts are not this. I mean, the Colts might be favored in a game at home against Buffalo, but there's no team, even Kansas City, there have been so many battles with them that no matter how they looked last week or recently, I'm not going to think that the Bills just cannot hold up to Kansas City. Maybe they won't win, but so there really isn't that. It's just I think from 2 weeks since Atlanta and not having another game last week, not really having any sort of good news or any evidence that there couldn't be any, that things are going to be better. What you have in that department is the 2 guys coming off suspension. But they've also lost a starting safety for a month today, and Daquan Jones, who didn't play against the Falcons, is out. And I don't know if they're coming out ahead from these changes. I mean, Jordan Poyer, if it's going to be Jordan Poyer, starting at safety for the Bills in 2025 is kind of scary.
Yeah, it is. It is not. It's not anywhere I ever wanted to be. I was away, I think, when they brought him back to the practice squad. But I know how I felt when I saw it. Like I think I even tweeted something. But I respect their, wanting guys that know the system and leadership and, tutoring. They've got a very young safety in Bishop that they have a decent amount invested in as a second-round pick. You want to have a mentor, fine. If he has to get on the field, buckle up. And I still feel that way. I don't think his last year with the Bills, which is 2 seasons ago now, was very good. And, you're another couple of years older. I'm very leery of that. If he's got, I would, easy for me to say, be careful what you wish for. I would just as soon put Jordan Hancock back there and hope that the mistakes can be minimized and that maybe the athleticism edge I get there over both Poyer and Rapp, I would say, because Rapp has been compromised. It seems pretty clear now that he's been compromised. He's on IR with a knee injury that he suffered in training camp.
That's the story.
So I would play the kid. right now. And maybe that'll be a bit of a mix. Maybe they'll use sort of like they were doing with Trey White and Dorian Strong before Strong suffered the neck injury. Like spell, and see how, get him some training wheels, see how it goes, and see if you can trust him as you go along here. Give him a little more leash as you go. But yeah, I'm not excited about Jordan Poyer being back on the field. And even if it goes all right in this game, because again, usually on a Friday, I'm driving in here around 2 o'clock and I'm listening to the great Greg Cosell on with Steve and Chris Brown on One Bills Live. And
they're not great.
His describing the Carolina pass catchers, like it's not a speed thing that you should be worried about. They're big and physical. Like Leggett is big, McMillan is big. The other guy, I forget who was the name that was mentioned.
Who do you want? Jalen Coker?
Yeah, big guy, 6'3". Like there's size there. So maybe Poyer doesn't get exploited, but him playing safety against the Chiefs next week, like I won't be able to breathe watching that. Like that is terrifying to me. So I think maybe ideally what they do is get into a game here where they can afford to play Hancock and sort of try that out. But you're going to need a lead to do that. Like, you need the jet game. I need to get out in front, and then I can see and I can tinker and hopefully be ready to go next week with someone younger and more athletic. Because if I got to lean on Poyer against the Chiefs, man, I think that's a bad scene.
Uh-oh.
I don't mean to be skipping ahead games here, but
the lead. Are we taking the ball tomorrow, Sunday rather? Are we going that far?
I don't need to do that.
Hasn't the defense been getting kind of chewed up early in games? Like you don't want to get behind. I don't want to do that either, but. All kinds of different thoughts have been bounced around here in almost 2 weeks. One that I guess I want to say I've come around to is throwing the ball to Cook. Like if the offense isn't going to be capable of just, like big body blows down the field, then how am I going to get there? Is it just by having 3 tight ends on the field? Am I Pittsburgh? Like, what? How am I going to get there? And Cook has been on such a roll until these 2 games. Like, these 2 games really didn't get a lot out of him. The touchdown streak he was on ended against New England, and that would seem like sort of an obvious correlation, right? I mean, that's how it goes with running backs. Usually, if you're winning or if your running back is hitting, then you're going to be more likely to win. That's just how football works. But throwing the ball to him, which they kind of have stopped doing. Mm-hmm. They never did a ton of it, but it isn't really a part of their offense. And I might think that changes this week. At FanDuel, however, his over-under line on receiving yards is 13.5. So if you think maybe that will happen, I think you want to get on that app and play that.
Yeah.
13.5 is one good play.
Yeah.
If they do that. But that's how you get beat at this. I mean, often with these really small numbers, oh, that's obvious. That'll happen. And then, it doesn't. But that's one thought for this game that I've had is, all right, well, you had the bye. I don't know exactly what the matchup is going to look like. It's like when they played Atlanta. I only know so much about this team. Mm-hmm. I don't think they have to be bad, the Panthers. Their record is good. I mean, their record is 4-3, and I'm not sure how good they really are. This was the same with the Falcons. And in the first half, at least against the Bills, the Falcons looked amazing. And they held on to win. So I have said all week, I think Dalton playing is probably good for Carolina. Just somebody that knows what he's looking at against, a Bills team. They don't play very much. I could see anybody like Penix even too, but he did fine. Bryce Young being like just sort of, this is new, and maybe McDermott, they give you sort of different looks from what's on film. I don't know if I'm going to be able to trick Andy Dalton, but it's not like I have to lose to him. I'm worried about the game.
I should be able to beat him without tricking him.
Well, pressure.
Listen. I get it. We're living in a world here where quarterbacks are coming back from the dead all the time. Here, we just saw Flacco last Thursday night. I mean, it happens. So, could Dalton have one more moment in the sun like Flacco did last Thursday? Yeah, maybe. There is also something to be said for he's never been that good and he's old. So I don't know. Like try to beat me outside the hash marks, and maybe I got a pick six coming to me. I might even like putting into a parlay a defensive touchdown in this game.
Ooh.
Just those odds are always enticing because they don't happen that often. But I can't. I want to respect the point, but I also feel like it's another one of these things that I, myself, speaking only for myself, have just been looking at and thinking about for too long.
Which quarterback will have the higher passing yard prop?
I've not looked. It's Allen.
Allen is correct. 223.5 to 208.5 for Dalton.
That's not that big a disparity.
No, it's not, but they're also not that big of numbers.
Right. That's part of the point.
Sam coming up at 3:30, and I watched him again this morning, and he's been so pro Bills. Super Bowl bets, the whole thing. This morning he was talking on Bet Sweats about like Buffalo in this game. Come on. They've got to be the much better team. And I was listening to him like, I just don't know. I guess I want to say again, maybe it's just being in here where not only are we talking about their flaws all the time, but well, that's really it.
I think at the beginning of the year, I would have thought they'll be the much better team when they get on the field on October 26th against Carolina. Watching the games, it's harder to get there. Just because you've seen the Bills' flaws and you've seen Carolina win 3 games in a row, and they've got a running back who's put up like 400 yards total offense the last couple of weeks, and the Bills can't seem to catch a cold on stopping the run. So there are things to be concerned about in the matchup. But, if you go back to, the beginning of the year, I'm sort of with Sam. I should be the better team, maybe even I would say the much better team. I've got the much better quarterback. I've got this offensive line. I've got James Cook. I should find a way to make that happen. Like, try tackling somebody. All right, guys? Like, let's just try to get that done and not give up 180-plus yards rushing this week.
I'm just making a note of what you just said so I can refer to it later.
Okay. The 180-yard part? What?
No, I was actually writing down that it's for the 3rd day in a row. It's my anniversary.
3rd day in a row.
Yes. We went out.
Anniversary week.
It turns out we went out on Wednesday night to celebrate. Yesterday was the actual day. Today is what the wedding certificate says.
Oh, okay.
Is that what it's called? The marriage certificate?
Marriage certificate, sure.
Our marriage certificate is wrong. It mentions today as the day, so it really is anniversary
Well, this
week.
whole union is null and void then. You guys
I don't know.
are
Sometimes I kind of...
real trouble.
Sometimes I wonder. Yes, anniversary week. That's what I confess, that's what I was writing down. We have guests today. We have Sam Panayotovich coming up, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, coming up next. We will talk to Theo Greminger today. Fantasy Points. Get your questions answered for Week 8. Sal will join us at 5. Drive at 5, if you will. What will these injury absences mean? Tyrell Shavers maybe plays a full-time role in this game with Palmer out. That's who got the work when Palmer went out in Atlanta. And then the Sabres tonight, game moved up to 7, so 6 o'clock pregame. Paul Hamilton will start things off on the pregame show coming up at 6. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here, Football Friday on WGR with Sam Panayotovich next. We will be back in a snap, brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
Folks,
Going for it. Oh, out in front. Hold in. Lad McConkey. Touchdown.
There's Al. Still got it. You know, he really does. You know, sometimes you hear certain things about Al Michaels, like the energy level or whatever. He's being compared against himself, which is, tough.
Yep.
But he doesn't make mistakes, really, does he? Do you hear? Am I just too much of a fan to notice? Maybe you're looking at me like I am. I don't know. I still love him. I didn't hear a mistake there.
I love Al Michaels.
Okay.
I would prefer
said it
to
all.
leave it at that.
You've said it all. How did you do last night?
Oh, I didn't win anything. No, I had McConkey and Gadsden, so that was nice.
For what?
Touchdowns.
They both scored.
Yeah.
Oh, but you probably had three other guys.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Because I can't stop there.
Justin Jefferson?
I can't stop there. I had Jefferson, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that didn't work out. The hockey, I mentioned San Jose and Chicago were both plus 200 or more on the money line to win last night during our, what is that called? The line at 4:45. And so I had those two games, and they both won. So, you're
Great.
welcome out there if you did that.
Big hit.
Unlike me, tying it in with two other games, and one of which lost. So I didn't get
You went 3 for 4.
I went 3 for 4 on a 4-leg parlay.
Oh, that's just tough.
And the loss, it wasn't what you would call a bad beat. 7-2 was the loss.
It sounds like it was a bad beat for whoever had 2.
Yeah. Detroit
They gave up 7.
Detroit didn't do such a good job. No.
When you split fantasy, as you know well, when you split fantasy teams with friends, the worst feeling is when you sort of push an idea and it flops. This happened to me last night. Because we have, it's 6 teams on bye and there's injuries. And I asked my friend, like, don't you think we might get something usable out of Aaron Jones? Like, why would they activate him and not use him? Why would you do that?
Right.
And that was 5 points.
Yeah.
5 PPR points. So I feel like a loser for, it was Pacheco or somebody, but still.
I also had in this same parlay, like Jordan Mason, 50 yards. He had 4 carries for 3 yards.
Don't I know it? That's what I said to my friend today. I'm like, buddy, what are you mad at me for? Jones had 5 times the rushing yards of Mason. Still. With us now, Odyssey Sports betting insider Sam Panayotowicz joining us on the West Her hotline. Check out Bet Sweats, weekday mornings 9 to noon. You can catch Sam on Sundays too. Sam, what's your shift on Sunday?
11 to 1, 11A to 1P.
What's that show like for you? Do you like that window there? There's a lot of news coming out. You get the inactives at 11:30.
The lines are moving basically for the first full hour because you have that 11 o'clock window, you're 2 hours out, and that's when a lot of people decide, let me make my bets today. So you start to see some movement there, and then as you alluded to, you get the injury report at 11:30, and then you get totals and sides that are flying. I sit in front of a betting screen, and I've got about 20 different books at my disposal. It's like a color-coded live odds screen, and I can see the lines at MGM and DraftKings and FanDuel and all the Vegas books and all the offshore books. And I always use the analogy that during that show on Sunday, it's lit up like a Christmas tree, because when a line moves, I have it color-coded within about 90 seconds where that line will turn red, and then I have yellow and I have green, and then there's black, and so it just looks like it's like a concert, like Bulldog would know, like you're at a concert with a lot of pretty colors. Only it's money moving and lines shaking, so it is good. And then by 12 o'clock, the lines kind of stop moving, and then you just kind of see if there's any late breaking information. But it is good, and then we're off the air, and then the games are on, so it's pretty cool.
And I think there are 2 kinds of people in the world: the kind that would love that, and the kind that could never. Like looking at that screen,
the screen,
I would love it.
The screen would give me a headache, I think. But generally, like you enticed me at the end there, Sam. 1 o'clock, I'm done, and then the games are on. Mike and I have been working post-game for a long, long time, and I started out in this business working post-game starting in 1996 after Bills games. But there's a 2-year pocket in there right before I started working with Mike where I worked mornings. And so I would do pregame, game day, like at the stadium from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. or something. And I loved that because, like, pregame is my team's great, everybody's happy, where's the garbage can fire? Postgame is I want to, hit myself in the face with a sledgehammer because I'm so mad that everything that I thought was going to happen didn't happen and my team isn't so great.
Pregame is happier?
Pregame is happy, postgame is mean, usually. That's kind of how I feel about it. And so pregame was always... That was just kick your feet up and just say, we're going to kill them.
Yeah.
That's what that was like. So I always liked that slot.
That makes sense.
It is wild, though, the reactions you hear from that Sunday show, because I try and just give the bets that I really like on Sunday, and Costos will give, a million bets, props, and all that. And it's much easier to keep track of what I say. Nick's got 6 prop bets per game times 12 games or whatever. So it's a lot harder to track him. And then I'll give my best bets at the very end. I'll say, these are my favorite bets. And last week I was on the Eagles, which was good, and the Saints, which was really bad. And it's like, nice call on the Saints, nerd. And I'm like, yep, got it. Thank you very much. It was my fault Spencer Rattler turned it over 4 times. Yes, I will own that one, and I will wear it for the next 7 days until we do this again the next Sunday.
Just make sure not to get one pick wrong. Yeah, this is really true. Pre-game is, T. Higgins is active. Post-game is, he played 5 snaps. Why didn't they tell us this?
Right. Why was he a decoy?
Why didn't they tell us he wasn't going to really play? Anyway. Well, Sam, I think we should maybe acknowledge this. You guys did on your show this morning, Bet Sweats is ending at the end of December. And I know we all, each of us individually and yourself were texting a lot, and we've become good friends. And I just I want to wish you well, and I appreciate that you're still going to be on with us here on Fridays. And I can only imagine what the next great thing will be.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I wasn't going to take the lead on that. I mean, Joe's been with the company much longer than I have. I've been with Odyssey for about a year and 2 months, so I'm on the J.J. McCarthy plan right now. I don't have to do much. So, Joe's been there much longer, and, when he was ready to address it, I thought it was his call because it's his show. He's been on it much longer. But him and I go way back. We met in Chicago when we were kids, and we started a podcast called Chicken Dinner that maybe dusted off relatively soon. Yeah, but, right. That's the business. That's the corporate merger. BetMGM is merging with Infinity Sports, and Westwood One's going to operate it, so they're going to handpick what they want to do. And when you have 4 shows on our network during the day and 4 shows on another network, and you bring the networks together, you can't quite make everything work and keep everybody together and make all the dollars work. But I just really appreciate it. We had a lot of people reaching out, and I say this, every so often on this show. I have a lot of people that listen to our hit on this show on Schopp and the Bulldog, and I got probably 7 or 8 messages from people that listen to you guys that now listen to us because of you guys, and all very, very friendly messages and very nice things to say. That's a good thing. I mean, we do get a lot of crap when our bets go wrong, but on days like today, when you hear what you heard, it's very helpful because it's been a tough week. We found out in a meeting on Tuesday, we got an email, and then after the show, it's like, yep, you're all dead. And then you're like, all right, let's gamble again tomorrow. And so, the show's going to go through December, but I will be here on this show as long as you guys will have me.
Well, I hope that goes for a good long while, Sam, because I've told Joe this. I don't know that I've ever told you this. I reminded Joe of this yesterday in a private message, and I remember telling him this on the air a couple of years ago now. Like when this all started, right? Gambling gets legalized, and so here comes FanDuel and BetMGM and everybody else, and it's just kind of the Wild West for a little while. The first guy that got placed on our show was Joe. And in my head, I'm just like, oh, man, how good is this going to be? I didn't know him. Was not familiar with his content or his experience or anything. And when does something that corporate wants you to do turn out to be really to your benefit, right? I just sort of felt like, I'm getting jammed up with this guy now, and I got to make it work.
Well, you probably were stereotyping him as somebody like those the Saturday morning shows.
The Saskatchewan silencer. Yeah, right. So I was really sort of, I wouldn't say standoffish, but I was reluctant. I did not embrace it right away. And then 2 weeks in, I'm just like, this guy's awesome on the air. I love this. And I told Joe, and he said he could tell that I was sort of, around the edges at first. But both of you guys have come to be integral parts of our week. So I'm really sorry to hear what happened.
Oh, so am I. It'll be okay. I've got some things. I still work with Fox. I still have my chicken dinner and all that. And it is funny you say that. You were a little standoffish at first, and then I kicked the door right down and had you guys betting on DK Horse.
Oh,
we made that horse move.
Right.
Yeah. Man.
I still have nightmares.
It probably worked out well for all involved here that Joe sort of set the table, because if you had come bursting through the saloon doors first, it might have been a little bit much.
Softer touch.
Right.
A little bit of a softer touch, maybe. Well, one thing that's great about having you on today, personally, and I think maybe for our listeners, is you are still keeping the faith when it comes to these Bills. And I'm having a tougher time. And I think that sort of makes natural sense because, not to make excuses, but that we're in here talking about them all the time and it's really focused on their shortcomings. Whereas maybe from a macro perspective, guys, what are you worried about? And that's mostly how I think you sound about them on Bet Sweats, and I think you like them this week.
I do. I think they should take the wrench and just club the Panthers. I mean, it's Andy Dalton, for crying out loud. And Joe gave some stat about Andy Dalton as a dog, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what Andy Dalton did in 2019 and 20. I don't. Andy Dalton, as currently constructed, doesn't evoke fear in me. And, the number 7, I think there's a good chance by kickoff we're at 7.5. So if you're going to lay some Bills, I would much rather people lay the 7 than lay 7.5 on Sunday and then have it laying 21-14 and you're like, oh, bad beat. And no, not really. Bad bet, bad number, not bad beat. So if you're going to bet Buffalo, I mean, you could bet it right now at -7. You could do a teaser. You could take Buffalo to win and Philly to win. I think that's a really good look. I am hooking the Bills with a couple things, like Buffalo down to -1 and the Eagles down to -1.5. I think that's a winner. I don't love the way that teasers have been priced these days, but Buffalo should win. Philly should win. I also I did make a hockey bet this morning with the Bills.
Oh.
I have the Bills to win the division and the Blackhawks to make the playoffs at 25-1. I made that this morning.
Interesting.
Obviously emboldened by their big 3-2 win last night in Tampa.
Obviously.
So I covered when Kane and Taves got there in Chicago, I was like, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to happen fast. And, with Nazar and Bedard, you can kind of see a lot of those guys in these guys. Granted, Taves was 6'3" and winning every draw. Bedard's much littler than Jonathan Taves was. But in terms of having two guys that you can rely on, I think with Bedard and Nazar, those kids are very, very ahead of their time. And, it's a long season, of course. They're going to have some bumps and bruises. But 15-1 to make the playoffs, like, that number's not right. And it's sort of the book saying, all right, kids, prove it to us. Well, if they do, we will be rewarded. And 15-1 right now on October 24th could be 10-1 in a week, and it could be 7-1 in a month.
What are the Sabres, Bulldog? Do you know?
I've not looked. I do not know.
They'd be shorter than the Blackhawks.
I would think so, yeah.
They've also not been to the playoffs in 14 years.
They were getting, weirdly, like a decent amount of love from the analytic community heading into the season. Like, some point projections had them very much in the mix as far as playoffs go. So.
I mean, Kane and Taves were barely in the league when they last made it.
Yeah.
Plus 250 on Buffalo to make the playoffs.
Okay. Just one quick follow-up on these Bills. When I've heard you talk about them, usually very optimistically, you will point out, Sam, like, well, what about Ed Oliver or what about Milano? And they still do have different guys, but they still do have injury issues on defense. And the defense is not impressed. I mean, that's putting it mildly, maybe. So not worried about that too much, at least?
I'm worried, but I mean, given the recent conversation, I'm worried about other things more than the Bills' defense right now, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like where I'm going to work next. But look, they've turned the ball over a ton as well, and I don't expect them to lose the turnover battle the way that they have been. I think they're a very talented team. I understand the frustration, but games where you should win that you lose, like the game against New England, they should have won that game. They stopped protecting the football. And, if the Bills and the Patriots line up 100 times, I think the Bills win about 65, 70 of them. So that's just how I feel. And maybe I'm a little too bullish, but I think you guys have a damn good football team. And I still think they win the division. So do the sportsbooks.
Right. Before we run out of time, Sam, we've got to ask you about yesterday's mega story from the NBA. What was your reaction to it? I mean, being in that space and having heard different things come down the pike from, it's often the NBA, but other athlete-associated gambling stories, and what might be the fallout, other than guys, if it's true, going to prison?
Well, if you remember, and Brian Windhorst talked about this on the Rich Eisen show, the league found out about Rozier a long time ago because of legalized sports betting. I think that's been the biggest issue I've had. People are like, well, this is why you can't have sports betting. Well, actually, legalized sports betting was able to flag the Rozier patterns and all the money being bet on Rozier unders, and that's how the books were able to figure it out, and then they told the league. With the Billups thing, I have no idea what to do with that. I mean, I don't like underground card games to begin with, and I'm not going to start anytime soon after hearing some of that stuff. But legalization and regulation, sure, it's in our face. It's everywhere. We all have sports books on our phones. But when there is shady things happening on a court or on a field, legalized gambling helps find that because there's a paper trail and there's the ability to track these bets on these players. That's how they caught Jonte Porter. That's how they caught Terry Rozier. That's how they caught Emmanuel Clase. That's how they caught Calvin Ridley. So, yes, betting has pros and cons, but this didn't happen because of legalized sports betting. If it's illegal and you got to do it behind closed doors, that's how people got away with it for years. If anything, legalization brings this stuff to the forefront.
Makes sense. College pick of the week?
Yeah, you got anything for us?
I was going to say, do we want the winners or do we want the losers this week? What do you guys want?
I prefer winners.
It's been a really nice season, Bulldog, and you didn't mush me last week on Notre Dame, thankfully. I'm going to do Missouri here. I think Missouri is going to beat Vanderbilt.
All right, writing it down. Sam, good luck. Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll talk next week.
You got it, boys. See ya.
Sam Panayotovich. Next Friday is Halloween, and we're out.
That's right.
For that show.
All right.
More information to come on that. Theo Greminger at 4. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Football Friday. This is WGR.
in sin so long, all the feels are gone. Fella stopped me on the street last night, said everything's alright. Roller coaster, make it through the day upright. It seems your meal ticket is gone, but life goes on. I could never imagine something better. Yeah, right. Now you're cooking on high heat in the middle of the street. Roller coaster, take me to a better time. forget how to place your bet. When everyday life gets you down, you gotta steal the crown. Got to own it. Don't bitch and moan about it, please. God forbid you scrape your knees, and it's nothing to sneeze at. Oh, I've told you over and over again. You gotta get both hands around it and make your own plans. Roller coaster, it's taking over. It's about time. Oh, sing your high line on the roller coaster of life. You've got to all choose your timeline with the roller coaster of life. Roller coaster. I want to go down the rabbit hole, down the rabbit hole of life. And now it's about to leave. Oh, roller coaster.
Enter at WGR550.com for a chance to win a home heating system.
Uh-oh.
Courtesy of T-Mark Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Whether your home needs a furnace, boiler, or ductless heat pump, T-Mark's got you covered. The last day to enter is October 26th, 2025. So that would be Sunday. I know. Believe me, I know. I was worried too.
Good job with that heat pump line. You got a fist pump out of me when you got through that.
Heat fist pump.
Yes.
A ductless heat fist pump. Something. Theo Greminger in about 10 minutes. 3 goalies. We're back to that.
Yes, sir.
What should they do?
I think they should hang out for a little bit here. I'm going to guess. This is only a guess. I don't know if Lindy gave any clues. I know Lyon is supposed to go tonight. I'm going to guess Luukkonen goes tomorrow in Toronto. And then one game next week, the kid gets another look. And I don't know. Like I wouldn't predict they go long with this. I think they would want to get Luukkonen. It'll go through next week, I predict. They're going to want to get Luukkonen a couple of games to demonstrate it's not going to just fall apart as soon as he gets back in the crease in a game. But eventually, I think there'll come a point where they will have to waive Ellis and probably lose him. Although if they wait long enough, I think the way the rules work, if they were to do it too quickly, the Blues could just reclaim him and send him right to the minors. They wouldn't have to keep him on the NHL roster. Any other team, I think, would, because they're the team that lost him. But if the Sabres keep him around long enough, there's an expiration date on that. I'm not sure how long that is. So that could lessen the chances of losing him. So I don't know. But I think he'll end up on waivers. It might take a week or two.
Next week is Columbus here Tuesday, at Boston Thursday, and then home to Washington Saturday night. That's the next 3 games after these 2 with the Leafs. Fantasy advice from Theo Greminger of Fantasy Points next here on WGR.
Friday is out for the Bills, and that means game statuses as well. We already knew Daquan Jones, Josh Palmer, and Taylor Rapp would all be out, and for Rapp, he is also being placed on IR with a knee injury, but now we have 4 players who are questionable for the Bills heading into Sunday's matchup with Carolina. Terrell Bernard, Dalton Kincaid, Matt Milano, and Maxwell Harrison, who returned to practice this week. And then Curtis Samuel has no game day status. He was a full participant today and should be good to go on Sunday. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Pre-game for Sunday is going to get underway at 7. It will carry you all the way to kickoff at 1 p.m. We'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. And do stay tuned. We will hear from Sal in just about an hour at 5 p.m. Around the rest of the NFL, a couple of fines going to the New York Giants for violating the NFL's concussion protocol while quarterback Jackson Dart was being evaluated earlier this month on the 9th. The team as a whole has been fined at $200,000, head coach Brian Dable $100,000, and running back Cam Scatterbo $15,000. And speaking of the Giants, they are not going to be having to deal with Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown this week. He has officially been ruled out as he misses every practice this week with a hamstring injury. And staying with hamstring injuries, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, a full participant and officially questionable as they get ready to take on the Chicago Bears this Sunday. For the Sabres, game night tonight, they are home against Toronto. Pre-game at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. For television purposes, it is an ESPN Plus and Hulu game. So if you do want to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray, it's going to be right here on WGR. Alex Lyon expected to get the start in net, and it does look like Jason Zucker won't miss any time after having to leave Wednesday night early. Sabres will also be in Toronto tomorrow at 5. And then game 1 of the World Series tonight in Toronto. Blue Jays versus the Dodgers. First pitch at 8. Trey Savage gets the start for Toronto. Blake Snell gets the go for Los Angeles. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Maybe it's just the Giants, I don't know, but are we at a point where maybe teams have had it with the concussion stuff, the independent neurologist or whatever it is? One thing I see the Bills do, and I would guess that it's because of this, and I think they wouldn't be the only team. Notice how when, starting with Josh Allen, when anybody goes down, somebody's right there to pick them up. They don't stand there. They don't reach out their hand. They pick them up. Why?
The longer that you sit there on the field, the more likely it is that you may display some sign that will tip off the independent concussion spotter.
Right. They're not really, and this is players. Like, they're not really there for player safety. He's the most important guy on the team. Get up. We're going to pick you up. And if you can't stand up, well, then we have a problem.
Then we're done in.
But
yeah,
we're not going to give anybody any chance to detect. And this is not just Allen. I mean, you see this all over the field with the Bills, and maybe this is like a lot of teams. But I think they have a thing where somebody's down, get them off the field, get them up off the field, so to lessen the chance that they'll be pulled by somebody who doesn't work here. With us now on the West Her Hotline is Theo Greminger. Always great to have Theo on, fantasy expert. Theo, what kind of year are you having?
I'm having a pretty decent year. In FFPC doing better than in NFFC, and in Dynasty doing pretty well. So it's
good.
It's kind of a mixed bag this year, Mike, but I'm pretty optimistic about a couple of teams I have.
Last year was, we needed to draft old running backs, even though they were on new teams, and we hate ourselves for doing it. And those guys pretty much all hit. This year, we don't have it. It's not because of injuries, Theo, mostly, but it's because of a lack of, efficiency. Saquon Barkley, most notably. McCaffrey gets the ball so much, he's immune to this kind of thing, maybe. But Barkley, Derrick Henry, some of these guys that got some of us beat last year aren't exactly paying off for the teams that drafted him this time around.
Yeah, and a bunch of risers also combined there, Mike, where there was a number of people that we were sort of like pretty happy to take around the 1-2 turn that have been disastrous picks, like Brian Thomas Jr., Nico Collins has been a poor pick. Brock Bowers has been like non-existent in terms of being there and also giving us high-end scoring numbers. So, yeah, it's been a very weird year. Recently, the 1-2 turn has been a huge help to fantasy drafters. This year, you could have gotten yourself in a lot of trouble there, except in some of those early drafts when CMC fell there, and certainly Puka Nacua looking like a nice early pick. But yeah, some weird returns. It's still the year of the running back, though. I mean, the high-end running back. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey. Bijan Robinson is on pace for a special season. Jonathan Taylor might be the steal of drafts right now, where he was going at the 2-3 turn, right around pick 22, 23, 24. So there's a couple of Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase combination teams that are very, very dangerous in some of these high-stakes formats like FFPC. And then, of course, Jahmyr Gibbs, who is averaging 20 points per game, and it's not even being talked about because of the other guys towards the top.
I wouldn't be able to speak to how much, if at all, what I'm about to mention impacted Barkley's draft status because Theo, only have the one team and we drafted on September 2nd, so I wasn't paying that close attention all summer. But I know I saw reference through the summer about some thresholds that Barkley eclipsed last year, touch-wise, yards-wise, that there was a reasonable amount of skepticism about a regression for him this year, that it was coming because he was so active last year that it almost had to come back. I don't know to this degree, but I don't know if you guys saw any of that over the summer and how much, if at all, it impacted his status. But there was some noise out there that, like, look out for Barkley.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't have to go, like, again, when guys hit this threshold number of touches, where you're talking about like north of 400 touches, including the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. It's not a super long list, but the most recent players to hit that number really regressed the following season. Guys like Larry Johnson in Kansas City, I believe it was Arian Foster in Houston. Those were, I believe, the two most recent ones to do so. Mike, if I'm forgetting somebody, let me know. And then what's funny about their seasons is right after they had this super high touch total, they regressed the following season, and then they bounced back in a major way the season after that. So it's going to be like a cycle here where Saquon Barkley is going to be looked at as this big disappointment by drafters this year, barring a late season like resurgence where he just rips off a bunch of spike weeks. And then next year he probably falls into a palpable range. So it's just interesting. I think when you just put this much wear and tear on a player, even a player that's a next level athlete like Saquon, even with a good offensive line in a seemingly good situation, guys just have a tendency to regress. Then you factor in Kevin Patullo is no Kellen Moore. Philadelphia loses both coordinators in the same season. That's sort of been a death sentence for a lot of teams over the years as well. So, yeah, Saquon really not providing those high-end numbers, especially considering you had to use a top 5 pick to take him, and considering that he was going ahead of Christian McCaffrey, ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs by a lot of drafters. Towards the end of the summer, you started to see Bijan Robinson going ahead of him. Occasionally Gibbs would go ahead of him. So people were cognizant of the volume he took on. But I think more and more people would look at him as sort of I kind of have to take him here at the 106. I kind of have to take him at the 107 because of the value he presents. And it's been sort of anything but that.
Yeah, right. It's a good breakdown. I'm looking at my underdog exposures as we're talking here, 2.7% on Barkley, which is very low. And it's only because once in a while, I'm either just like, all right, I got to have some Barkley, or I'm just drunk and maybe I've passed out and he's top of the queue. I don't know. But,
yeah.
He's a guy you have to play, and maybe...
Sounds like quality process there, Mike.
Oh, baby. So proud. And maybe this week is all right, though, Theo. No A.J. Brown, we just found out, for Philadelphia. It's the Giants again who beat the Eagles not even 2 weeks ago. This kind of feels to me a little bit like, if not now, when, with Barkley.
Yeah, it feels like a Saquon week. I was actually looking at him from a DFS perspective, where it's a revenge game for Philly. The Giants not only beat them, but it was really a complete beatdown where they were very much in control for that entire fourth quarter. Saquon, against his former team, only had 8.7 points scored, 58 rushing yards, only 2 catches. And then last week in Week 7, Philadelphia was passing it all over the field. Jalen Hurts had a huge game. Devonta Smith had a really, really big game. A.J. Brown had a big game. And then Saquon was invisible once again. So we're not really used to this. Saquon's played 7 games this year, and 3 of them he scored fewer than 10 PPR points, whereas last year not only was he scoring at an extremely high rate, but he was also very, very consistently scoring. So, yeah, it feels like a bounce back. And, Mike, they're heading into that Week 9 bye, so a ton of pressure on Philly to get a win, to get the kind of revenge game. I don't think they've lost to the Giants at home in Philly since something like 2013 either. It's been a really, really long stretch for them holding, a ridiculous win streak. It was a really long win streak in general against the Giants, even on the road, but the home advantage in Philly has been massive, and you have to think that with A.J. Brown out, the touches are going to be super consolidated between Saquon, Devonta Smith, and then an uptick for Dallas Goedert.
With Theo Greminger, Fantasy Points, Mike Schopp, and the Bulldog, we'll get to the Bills next. But before we do that, Ashton Genty is another name from that 1-2 turn range where you're not getting paid off if you drafted him yet. Can you see that turning around? Are the Raiders so bad, Theo, that there's really maybe no hope for this year for their number 1 running back? Or are they not that bad?
I think that there's going to be some opportunities based on the schedule for Ashton Genty to have some decent games, but I do think they're that bad. Geno Smith has been terrible. They had an exceptionally low play volume against Kansas City in Week 7, where they're just not even running enough plays. We have seen some strong performances from Genty. We saw in Week 4 that huge one against Chicago is sort of a generous opposing defense to running backs this year. The Indianapolis game, he was good, caught 5 passes in that one from a fantasy lens. But, yeah, we haven't really seen it from Genty like we were expecting. I think we were sort of expecting the Quinshon Judkins experience from Ashton Genty, and maybe more so. It's been very, very disappointing, especially considering Bowers has been out multiple weeks, and you would think that Genty would just be this offensive focal point. I don't know. Vegas looks sort of broken to me. Big game coming up at home against Jacksonville in Week 9. Then they go to Denver in Week 10. Dallas in Week 11 at home in Vegas seems like it would be a Genty game. But, yeah, I sort of view Genty as a safe pick, where a lot of times we draft these rookie running backs in redraft season in August and July, and we say this is the upside player for us. And guys like Omarion Hampton, we were sort of looking at like an upside pick. Genty was like, this guy's going to get so many touches. He could lead all running backs in touches, period, and therefore he's going to average 17, 18 points per game. Genty, the returns have just not been good, and Vegas, the offense is just sputtering right now. So I'm not sure. I think that there's a chance that he settles in and becomes like a 15-point-per-game player the rest of the way, but you're certainly not going to get that sort of return based on where you took him in somewhere in that top 15 overall picks.
Mike mentions the Bills here, Theo. I mean, we've spent a lot of time in the almost 2 weeks now since the Monday night game talking about James Cook's usage overall and James Cook as a pass receiver. And I don't know, I'm not here to try to give you a hot tip, but it feels to me like James Cook is going to catch some passes this week in this game just because they haven't found their way to anything else in the pass game, and there's just been a lot of noise about it, and I'll bet that they react to it.
Yeah, I love the take. It feels like it's going to be a big Cook game. Cook looked like the league winner for the first 4 weeks of the season. I don't need to tell you guys that. But from a fantasy perspective, he was absolutely dominating, had 20 points or more every week for 4 straight weeks. And then New England and Atlanta games, I know you guys are not used to this, but a losing streak for the Buffalo Bills and also back-to-back games where they're not scoring points, really sort of shocking development. They're huge favorites over Carolina. I know that Josh Palmer's out. I don't know what the latest – I think Kincaid guys, correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to be sort of a game-time decision.
Questionable is what his game status is, yeah.
Questionable for Kincaid. So I think it's a James Cook week. I also think it's a Khalil Shakir week, who's been pretty consistent for them. I think they're going to give him opportunities to get it going with his yards after the catch. His yak ability is very high level. And I think it's a big Josh Allen week. Carolina has been playing well, but it feels like it's about to get difficult for Carolina in this situation, being a big home underdog against Buffalo coming off of back-to-back losses. I wouldn't be surprised if Buffalo wins this by double digits. And I agree with you. I'd like to see James Cook getting an opportunity to get the ball out in space, take some pressure off of Josh Allen, and it sort of makes this offense more dynamic. I think that we could look at maybe just having James Cook be more hyper-utilized. They always seem to work in a second back. I don't think it's necessary. I think Cook can take on way more snaps and hopefully a little self-scouting post-bye week, and he does catch more passes.
What an interesting and maybe complicated year it's been at quarterback. You mentioned Dalton playing for Carolina here. I mean, look at the blasts from the past who are having to consider if we have an injury or the bye weeks at quarterback. Tyrod Taylor might be going in. We don't know that for sure yet with the Jets. We've had the Joe Flacco ride already this year. Carson Wentz. I mean, these are guys from a decade ago. Perhaps even this week, Bulldog, your buddy, Kirk Cousins.
Oh, dear, yeah, right.
Maybe.
There's some question about Penix, yeah.
Maybe. Like, what a time to be alive, Theo, at this position. What was the best quarterback strategy or pick you could have made? Is it Prescott? I mean, Justin Fields felt good for a while, drafting him a lot, but, now I'm sort of
that lasted 1 week
sad.
Of the season, basically.
I think it's going to come down to Drake May, and I think Prescott's a great call, Mike, but Drake May, he's QB3 overall on the season. And it feels like we haven't seen them being that challenged where he's in trailing environments or he's in just really challenging high-scoring environments.
Right.
The Tennessee game, they were complete control of. New Orleans were not tested. The game in Buffalo where they beat you guys, that was sort of an ugly week for fantasy in general. He had his lowest-scoring game of the season. Drake May's just sort of been, methodically scoring. He's had one game, which is his most recent one against Tennessee, with more than 50 rushing yards, and then he hasn't passed for 300 yards in a game. It feels like those weeks are coming, and the schedule is looking like some weeks that could be big hang a number on opponents, and then he's got a couple of games like the Cincinnati game away where they might turn into a little bit more of a shootout type environment. So I think ultimately Drake May, you're off to a pretty good start, and then I think you could see him scoring a little more. And oftentimes, it's funny, Mike, because we didn't have a locked-in ADP. Once you got to sort of the low-end QB1s and the high-end QB2s, it was sort of like pick your guy. So Drake May, there's a lot of drafters holding him at quarterback 14, quarterback 13, quarterback 15 range. So he becomes interesting there. I also think Dak Prescott, great call by you. He was drafted in a very similar range, and it's a perfect storm for fantasy because Dallas can't stop anyone, and they're scoring a ton, and he's got these elite weapons around him with CeeDee Lamb now back fully healthy, Javonte Williams having this big bounce-back season, George Pickens having the best season of his career, and Jake Ferguson on this just historical pathway. Ferguson's the first tight end ever in NFL history to have 50 catches and 6 touchdowns through the first 7 weeks played. It's absolutely wild how efficient Ferguson's been.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, I've got teams with Mac Jones and just it's bad. But then I find a team or two with May and Prescott because, like you said, they went together and that was a viable strategy to pick them both sometimes. And I just wish do you know people who could arrange this, Theo? Could I trade with myself between leagues and get Prescott off the May team? As soon as I say that, maybe there will be an injury or something, but hopefully not. Hopefully not. Bills.
Yeah, that's always how it is, Mike, in fantasy, where it seems like you have too many options on one team, and then another league where you're just scraping the bottom of the barrel, happy to have anybody in your lineup. So, yeah, that's always how these teams go. I'm sort of with you, where you get these like completely loaded teams, and then other teams where it's like, who am I going to start in the flex this week? I'm really happy to have like a guy like Tez Johnson or something.
Yeah, right. That's. I'm trying to think who's the worst player I have in a starting lineup this week. I mean, for just like chances of getting anything out of it. Brashard Smith maybe would be that.
I
player.
have a team that's so decimated by injury that I'm starting a Devin Neal just because, and my RB2 has just been a continuing like revolving guys, and the team's actually doing well. This week I'm taking a chance that Devin Neal gets like 12 touches. So. Yeah, RB2 for me, tough one with this league, but other guys scoring well. So you do what you can to keep going, Mike.
Devin Neal, the backup now to Alvin Kamara with Kendre Miller out for the year. Thank you, as always, Theo, for your time. Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, check out Fantasy Football Daily. That's my podcast I'm putting out most frequently. You can find that anywhere you get your podcasts. I also, for your Dynasty listeners, Dynasty Life is my Dynasty podcast. Mike's been on that one. And then School of Scott, I'm recording that once a week with Scott Barrett. All of my written work over at fantasypoints.com.
Very good. Thanks again, Theo. Enjoy Week 8.
You guys as well. Talk to you soon.
All right. Theo Greminger on the West Her Hotline.
Who's Devin Neal?
Devin Neal is Kamara's backup.
Okay,
he's a rookie.
Thank you.
So
he's in because Kendre Miller got hurt.
Right.
Okay. So I knew who Kendre Miller was because he scored against the Bills.
He did.
That's an easy guy to remember. I'd never heard of Devin Neal.
And Kamara was questionable all week, but today apparently he's good to go. Who do they have? Tampa.
Yeah.
Tampa at New Orleans, right? I haven't made my picks yet.
You better get on that because the shorter show.
Earlier picks.
Yeah, that's right. Tampa, New Orleans, 4:05 on Fox.
I'm going to miss it.
Me too. I'll be working.
What's our late game going to be? Dallas, Denver, maybe?
I have not looked, but that is a 4:25 game, as is Tennessee, Indianapolis.
It cannot be that game.
No.
I mean, you're fired if you pick that game.
Dallas, Denver will be Romo and Nance, I would imagine. There's not a 1 o'clock game that they would be at instead, right? Jets, Bengals?
No.
Right? Miami,
Giants,
Atlanta? No. Cleveland, New England? Okay, yeah.
Traditionally, Dallas, Denver would be a Fox game, but I don't know if it is.
No, it is not. It's a CBS.
Like the Bills game would be a CBS game traditionally, but that's a Fox game at Carolina this week. We get Greg Olson this week.
Yeah, that's right.
Former Panther, look out.
Oh, God. It's going to be so one-sided.
Look out.
I'll tell you.
He, I think, is maybe the best there is.
I think he's excellent, yes. We, just for clarity's sake, seeing as we're here locally, CBS 1 o'clock opposite the Bills, Bears, and Ravens. We got the Bills, obviously, on Fox. 4:25 is Cowboys, Broncos on CBS.
Denver and throwbacks.
Right, I saw the end zones too. They've got the old school there in the end zones. Like it.
Room for your calls here at 803-0550. It's Football Friday. We need a break. We'll be back in a snap. Brought to you by Snapdragon Apples, the official apple of the Buffalo Bills.
3 players are officially out for the Bills as they get ready to head down to Charlotte to take on the Carolina Panthers this Sunday. Daquan Jones, Josh Palmer, and Taylor Rapp. And for Rapp, he will also be heading to IR as he deals with a knee injury. Bills also have 4 players who are questionable, those being Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Dalton Kincaid, and Maxwell Harrison, who did return to practice this week for the first time since training camp as he continues to recover from his LCL sprain. And then good news for Curtis Samuel. No game status. He was a full participant today at practice and should be good to go for Sunday. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-million. Pre-game on Sunday, we'll get underway at 7. We'll carry you all the way to kickoff at 1 p.m. We'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who are going to be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. And do stay tuned. Coming up in just about a half hour, Sal's going to join the show at 5. For the Sabres, it is game night tonight. They're at home against Toronto. Pre-game at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. For TV purposes, this is an ESPN Plus and Hulu game, so if you do want to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray, it's going to be right here on WGR. Alex Lyon gets the start in net, and it does appear that Jason Zucker won't miss any time after having to leave Wednesday night early. Sabres are also going to be in Toronto tomorrow at 5 p.m. And then speaking of Toronto, Game 1 of the World Series tonight, just north of the border. Blue Jays versus Dodgers. First pitch just after 8. And Bo Bichette, he is back in the lineup for the Blue Jays for the first time since September 6th. He's going to be playing second and batting fourth. That is your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
My concern with the Bills is that they have to get themselves in position to win one because they're not going to be the same team next year. They just won't. They're going to be the staff, players, contracts coming up. Guys going to go get new big contracts somewhere else. So you don't want that opportunity in that window to pass. And they're still good. You just hope that they don't drop these games they're supposed to win.
Sean Merriman. Congrats to Teresa W. for being this week's lucky winner of the Football Friday Tailgate Tray giveaway. She's putting the W in Teresa W. Teresa has scored a $300 tailgate tray certificate from Alibaba Kebab. We pick a new winner every Friday, so keep those entries coming at WGR550.com. Fire up your taste buds at any of their 3 locations. How do you like that?
Sounds good. What are we talking about there with, like, guys being up? Like, McGovern is up. Daquan Jones is up.
I don't know. It sounded like a form letter.
I don't know. I felt like last year was a big year for that. I mean, they resigned a bunch of their own guys and managed to keep them all, whether that was the greatest idea or not. It was just a weird analysis there. I like it's a year late, I think. But, I could be wrong.
I have a prediction about next year or even this year.
Oh, yeah?
Or for all time, actually.
Wow.
I predict Carson Wentz will never start another NFL game. I think that was it.
Yeah.
That guy, he is like a pinball.
He beleaguered is a word.
The beleaguered, the hits, he's a car wreck. I mean, every play is, somehow he has a talent for getting blown up. And his shoulder's killing him. He's got that big brace thing on. He can barely even stand it, I think. They're getting blown out. That's it.
Wasn't he coming out the field at one point? Like, it looked like he might be done. Like, his arm he looked really in distress. I know it's really the same point you're making. But, like, enough to think, like, oh, God, the other guy better start warming up. Right.
Max Brosmer.
Because McCarthy was the third quarterback in this game, could only come in if that other guy got hurt as well as Wentz. I think that's how that works still. I thought I didn't spend a ton of time with that game, but, boy, I thought he was coming out.
I just think that this is it. And Minnesota now, I mean, their season isn't over, but it might be. Like at 3-4 in that division, Warren Sharp had that they've had the easiest schedule in the league so far, and now they have the toughest from the rest of the way. I know on Bet Sweats for a couple days they've been talking about like how many games do the Vikings actually win? To win 8 will be pretty good if McCarthy isn't good. And with the schedule they have, like they could be down really bad. There's just no point in Wentz. And have we seen enough as a society with him? Like,
I think so.
It's just sort of. I think it should be over.
Any hope that he has some sort of Joe Flacco, Geno Smith, late career resurgence. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not that late. Maybe if he hangs around for 2 more years, he'll get a shot at a Joe Flacco type resurgence or something. Because he's not quite 40 yet, Wentz, right? So he's got a little bit of time, maybe. But no, I think he's toast.
32.
Yeah. Wow.
And he started games
32. He looks like he's 60. He's just getting the living crap beat out of him.
You see that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started games for 6 different teams the last 6 years, including this one.
He sort of looks like the face on a player card from the 60s where everybody looked like they were 55 years old and going bald when they were in like the prime of their careers.
This is a favorite Matt Collar point. This is a favorite point of his. He wants to know, like, why is that? Why does everybody look so much younger now for their age? Like, at least in terms of athletes or famous people, I guess. You really can look up. This is a picture he just sent to me recently. Look up over there, 1976 Topps John Hadel. Can you do that?
I saw that.
Did you see the picture?
I saw the card. I saw the tweet this week, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's your Uncle Fran.
Yeah, John Hadel looks like he's 55 years old in this picture,
and he's 35.
Right.
What is that?
I don't know because they're in. I want to say something about like culture and style and how, like I'm 60 years old. My dad looked way older than me when he was 40. But a lot of that was hairstyle, choice of dress, right? Like I'm sitting here wearing a band T-shirt and I got this big gray beard and everything. Like I don't know. I don't feel like I'm dressing like a 60-year-old human. This job allows for that because I can just, dress in a T-shirt and jeans and flip-flops if I want.
You should be in a cotton button-down shirt.
Right. Some khakis or something.
Clean-shaven.
Right. And just, more conservative looking because I'm a 60-year-old person. I don't know.
Navy slacks.
Slacks, thank you. Perfect. And some nice loafers.
Loafers.
Yeah. Maybe some Tom McCann shoes. I don't think that exists anymore.
I'm not 60. How would I know?
Yeah.
Or 6.
The right, Tom McCann. Remember Jocks?
I don't know if I do. I don't think so.
Those were Tom McCann's like cool sneakers.
Jocks.
Jocks. Yes. But that doesn't really work because these people are all in baseball uniforms or football uniforms, so it's not style. I mean, it's just that they're, their faces. They look like they're 55 years old.
Well, it's got to be a number of things. They're not in as good a shape, or even close to it sometimes, as guys are now. So, I mean, Wentz is 6'5". John Hadel might have been, I don't even know, 5'10" or something like that. I don't even know. Maybe it's not a question of whether he's short, but, it's sort of this dumpy kind of build, and I think you would have that. I mean, football players were famous for, like, not being in shape until training camp, and then they would throw up and get in shape over the course of training camp. And maybe
a lot of these football card pictures are taken at the beginning of the summer, right?
They absolutely are, or were. Right. They would play 6 preseason games. Like, the effort being made to get guys in shape was extensive. So, yeah, I think that's when they take those pictures. Baseball, too. Those are usually spring training pictures.
They probably didn't really realize just how bad smoking might have been for you.
Smoking, right? You don't have too many cards where they are smoking on the card, though.
No. The famous photo of Len Dawson, that's not a football card.
No.
It's just a famous photo of Len Dawson. Right?
Yes. I guess we have Joe Burrow for that more recently, but still. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know the answer.
I think liquor and tobacco probably had a lot to do with it.
Maybe it could. It could. Logical. I mentioned how the Broncos are wearing throwback uniforms. That'd be the orange jerseys.
I hope so.
Hopefully Dallas wears their regular ones because that's Super Bowl 12. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
If they do that. Also, the Eagles are wearing throwbacks this weekend.
Is that the Kelly Green?
Should be.
Oh, man, that's hot. That's a good look.
And Pittsburgh, Sunday night.
Oh, boy.
They're not technically a throwback uniform. It's just a new throwback look. 1933 is the season that they're patterning these off
of. Get ready for some weird striping, I think, right? Is that
No, they got rid of that.
Okay.
They're not. It's not stripes. It's yellow helmets, yellow jerseys, and beige pants.
And there aren't some weird alternating. I thought I saw the jersey that there was something, maybe not stripes, but some oddity on the jersey. I thought I saw
the 1933 Pittsburgh Pirates football team was all stripes, and so I think it's sort of based on that. So maybe there are some stripes, but it's a yellow jersey, yellow helmets, and beige, literally beige pants. Okay. And they're playing Green Bay.
And their Packers are wearing white, I saw.
All white.
Right. White helmets, too.
White helmets. They call that like the winter warning or something like that.
Okay.
So that'll look different. I'm glad Green Bay is not going to be in yellow playing against yellow.
That would be tough, I think. Yeah.
All white. What are the Bills are white jerseys, blue pants this week.
Correct.
Which you hate.
I don't hate that.
All right. I take it back.
I like blue jersey, white pants more. The only uniform of theirs I truly hate is the all blue or the all red.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. All white, top of the pops. Throwback or not, don't care. Either way, it's great. Like that uniform that they wore in Atlanta, even though they only scored 14 points and lost, is my favorite look of theirs.
You think it looks good? It just wasn't lucky.
Just wasn't lucky. Yeah, it got done in by the Falcons. Cool look too, because they looked pretty good in that game. So yeah, I don't know. I'm all right with what is it again? Is it white with blue pants?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, not my favorite, but not the worst. I think they have two looks that I would say are worse.
I don't know Carolina's plan. Probably black. But it's sometimes light blue. Like
right.
Would be one or the other.
You would imagine if the Bills are wearing white jerseys. Yes.
It'd be one or the other.
It would be weird if they were wearing white.
You never see that.
No, white on white. No.
White versus white.
It's a tough matchup.
Sal coming up at 5. What'll it mean to things in Carolina with, Palmer out, Daquan Jones out, Taylor Rapp out for a month. IR. Sean McDermott this morning visiting with Sal on Extra Point mentioned how this injury of Rapp's goes back to camp. And, that's maybe some explanation for, certainly was McDermott's, like why his play hasn't been better, just doesn't, he's not himself, that kind of point. And so we'll talk to Sal about how that all will shake out for the Bills. Yesterday we talked about this some, and he's like, Jordan Poyer, we might be there. We might be there. Sabres and Leafs tonight, pregame at 6 with Paul. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, Football Friday on WGR. Well, it's not something we walk around Sabres home to the Leafs tonight, and then they go to Toronto tomorrow. Leafs here tonight, Sabres in Toronto tomorrow, and that game tomorrow has been changed to 5 o'clock. I think maybe the Raptors home opener is tonight.
I did not even think to check.
And of course, the World Series,
right?
Both nights. You didn't check to see if the Raptors.
I didn't even think about it, but I mean, should have been
6:40.
All right.
Baseball's at 8.
Busy times in Toronto. Yeah.
I said yesterday, right? Like I'm excited, very excited to go tomorrow, but I'm thinking about the drive home.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a few cars on the road. You think coming back?
Could be
tomorrow night.
Yeah. Once you get to like Burlington, it'd probably ease up.
You think?
As you get past that bridge, the
Bay Bridge, the Burlington Bridge,
Burlington, yeah,
the big bridge,
right?
Yeah, and there's often construction there.
Yeah. There was, we came through there in the summer on the way back Labor Day weekend, and there was, yeah.
Where is it on that drive where you feel like you're home free? For you, it's the bridge, the first bridge on the way back?
On the way back, yes.
Not the one at the
Although
Welland Canal.
I do occasionally hit traffic after that, but I feel like if you clear that, you hopefully clear sailing from there. But it's not always the case. The traffic can just pop up anywhere on that drive.
I think I'm taking the GO train.
Oh, now that's the play.
And
from Niagara Falls or from Burlington?
From like halfway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you're still gonna you do have to deal with that bridge. You got to go on the way there over it, and then both ways. You're gonna have to cross it coming back because the GO train station in Burlington is on the Toronto side of that bridge.
Okay. We'll have to figure out a plan.
That train runs from the falls now.
I know. Right by the Whirlpool Bridge.
Right.
They have a GO train stop.
It didn't always. We've used it to go to Toronto different times, and when I was looking at this is many years ago now, at least 10 years ago, that I could not get that train in the falls. You had to go to Burlington to get it.
The last train out of Toronto tomorrow night is scheduled for 12:47 a.m. And it might even be later than that. They did post a thing today that because of the games,
if the game goes long,
they might even be later. But if I don't know that answer and it gets to be like the 12th inning, we got to make a decision. They don't do the zombie runner in the playoffs.
No, they don't. No. Which is good.
It's good,
right? Yeah. Well, have you done that before, that GO train?
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah. I've done it specifically going to a Blue Jays game with my boys one time, and it just is great. It's like a 15-minute walk maybe from that station to the ballpark.
And you don't have to pay $100 to park.
Right.
Which it might even be more than that for the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be really
cool. I love
cool.
that. I really like that train. Yeah.
Game 1 tonight, Snell and Yasavage. The rookie gets the ball in Game 1. Tomorrow I saw Yamamoto for L.A., but no name for the Blue Jays. It's got to be Gossman, doesn't it?
I'd think.
Bichette is back, and he's going in. He's going to play second. We talked to Mike Wilner on maybe Wednesday, and he was pointing out how if they're going to activate Bichette, which they probably should, where does he play? Like, is he a DH? Can he play the field? And if he's the DH, then what's Springer? And sort of these dominoes. But he's going to play second tonight and bat fourth. I guess that's a good sign.
Get ready for lots of the chemistry got upended takes if they lose.
Can't wait. I love those.
Right.
I love those kind of takes. Sal coming up next. We'll dig in on Bills Panthers. Football Friday continues here on WGR.
3 players officially out for the Bills as they get ready to head down to Charlotte to take on the Carolina Panthers. Defensive tackle Daquan Jones, wide receiver Josh Palmer, and safety Taylor Rapp. And for Rapp, he's also going to be heading to IR as he deals with his knee injury. 4 players then are questionable: Taylor Rapp, Matt Milano, Dalton Kincaid, and Maxwell Harrison, who returned to practice this week for the first time since training camp when he suffered his LCL sprain. And then good news for Curtis Samuel: he has no game status after being a full participant today. And the Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by the Barnes Firm. Injured for help? Call 1-800-8-MILLION. Pre-game on Sunday is going to get underway bright and early at 7. We'll carry you all the way to kickoff at 1 p.m., where we'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who are going to be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. And do stay tuned for more on the Bills. Sal is going to join the show next. Looking around the rest of the NFL, a couple of fines going to the New York Giants for violating the NFL's concussion protocol while quarterback Jackson Dart was being evaluated earlier this month on the 9th. The team has, as a whole, gotten fined $200,000. Head coach Brian Dable, $100,000, and rookie running back Cam Scadaboo, $15,000. And staying with the Giants, they are not going to have to deal with Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown this week. He is out after missing all of this week with a hamstring injury. And staying with hamstring injuries, Lamar Jackson, a full participant today, and is officially questionable this Sunday as the Ravens will take on the Chicago Bears. For the Sabres, it is game night, home against Toronto. Pre-game coming up in an hour at 6, a 7 p.m. puck drop. For television purposes, it is an ESPN Plus and Hulu game, so if you do want to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray, it's going to be right here on WGR. Alex Lyon expected to get the start in net, and it does look like Jason Zucker will not miss any time after having to leave Wednesday's game early. Sabres will also be in Toronto tomorrow at 5 p.m. And then the World Series gets underway tonight in Toronto as the Blue Jays take on the Dodgers. First pitch at 8. Bo Bichette is in the lineup tonight for the first time since September 6th. He'll be playing second and batting fourth. That is your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
Okay, week 8, the Bills off the bye, when, coming off a bye, under Sean McDermott, they've never lost. 8-0 in this spot. This year, there are tougher tests. At Carolina is the plan here. Bills and Panthers, Sunday at 1. Sal Capaccio joins us now on the West Her Hotline to talk about it. Sal, we didn't get to Carolina yesterday. Just a simple general question about how you feel about them and this matchup for the Bills. You hear a lot of, because they've been bad, that the Panthers are kind of still the Panthers. And they're down their starting quarterback. I don't even think I mind for them that it's Dalton instead. And I don't know. They are 4-3. What kind of test will this be?
Very big test. Because they can do things that the Bills have had trouble against. Run the ball, mainly. And that's the big challenge on the defensive side. I think that Rico Dowdle is going to see a lot of action against the Bills defense. The Bills have to be much better than they have been stopping running backs, tackling them, bringing them down after, once you on contact. They're very good. They're very good after contact, him and Hubbard. So, yeah, and I've gone back and forth on, I do think that, to me, I think the Bills would have a better chance against Bryce Young because he's a younger quarterback, inexperienced, and coming off a bye, you could probably do some things to confuse him if you can at least stop the run, put him in long yardage. But I would also say that the thing that's hurt the Bills a little bit has been mobile quarterbacks this year, and he's more mobile than Andy Dalton. The good news about facing Andy Dalton is he's going to be in the pocket, and the Bills can dial up stuff to say, okay, we're going to come after him because he's not escaping against us. So I think kind of however you want to look at it. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer there.
It would be really welcome to see them be able to get home, whether that's with 4 or sending extra. I did read one thing this week that indicated that I think their left tackle has not given up maybe even a single pressure all year. Like someone on that line is having a really good year. And I think it's him. I think it's the left tackle on Carolina. So, maybe that's a tough matchup and they can find some other way around it. But, yeah, I mean, pressure on the quarterback, but tackling, Sal. Like, I don't know. We've talked about it again and again, I think, here over the last few weeks. Like, what kind of work can you do during a bye week to work on your tackling? I saw a clip of Jordan Poyer talking about that earlier this week. It's the different angles. Every tackle's different and that kind of thing. I mean, just wrap some guys up here for crying out loud.
Yeah. No, that's right. That's right. It is a fundamental thing. I mean, I know coaches talk about fundamentals. Tackling's fundamental when it comes to football. That's what it is. You've been taught it since you've been starting playing, whether that was at 5 years old or in high school or whatever, and they know how to tackle. But, yes, angles are a big part of it, putting guys in position. That's on coaches to, scheme-wise sometimes have those proper angles when it comes to knowing what's coming and whether it's a wide zone or inside zone or something like that. And guys have to be able to, get to that spot where they're supposed to be and where their head is, all those kinds of things. So that's on everybody. They're going to have to be better at tackling. There's no doubt. And I really believe the Bills, if the Bills were a lot better at tackling than they have been, then maybe one of those losses would become wins, whether that's the Patriots or the Atlanta Falcons. That's, to me, how big of an issue it's been for them at times. So no doubt. And then on the other side of the ball, the Bills have to play better than they have been against the Carolina defense, which, by the way, it's different. There's a different defense than what they faced against Atlanta. Like Atlanta is, they're going to come after you. They are going to put pressure on you. They're going to get to the quarterback. That's not Carolina. But Carolina is a team that's going to be buttoned up. They're sound fundamentally. They're going to be in the right spots defensively, and they're going to make the right reads and plays. It's a little bit less boom or bust, but it is a defense that has put up some nice numbers this year, but they're not getting after the quarterback the way that other teams have, and like the Falcons did against the Bills.
Maybe this is a dumb question, but as careful as the Bills and as teams are with their practice time nowadays, where it's just not very physical, how do you practice tackling? Like, how do you compromise that point, player safety stuff and just sort of manage everybody's workload in a safer way? Do you have to compromise that to sort of hone in on tackling?
Yes, it's tough. And there's also, Mike, CBA rules about this stuff, where how much you can have pads on at certain points in the season and all that stuff. So every team, that's why you do it in training camp. And unfortunately, that's why injuries happen too in training camp. You have to get that stuff done in training camp because you don't have a lot of time. Once you get to the season, I mean, you're not banging on each other because you're getting ready for a game and you're game planning. You just can't do it. And then there's even times, like I said, in the season where you have to cut down on the number of times you give a practice with pads on, according to the CBA. It's very, very hard. So how do you do it? Well, you guys have probably seen some videos I've posted at practice where you're tackling bags, they do the gator roll tackle, or they just kind of lift it up, and you see Matt Milano or Terrell Bernard taking a bag down to the ground and just, standing still, stationary like that. Then you have the donut rolls, I'll call them, these big pads that are big, big round pads. They'll roll them at you, and the guys have to come and they have to tackle that and lift it up. But that's the only way you can really do it. You can say thud, up thud they call it, where let's say James Cook is running through the hole and someone comes up and he can come up to him and he can body him up to him and he can wrap him up, but you got to be careful of that because you're not trying to hurt your teammate either. It's very tough.
Well, Sal, for all this talk about, the tackling and whatnot, we have, and I mentioned Poyer, you correctly forecasted some of what would happen today with McDermott, if not all of it, right? You said yesterday to us that you wouldn't be surprised at all to hear him tell us that those three players, Jones, Palmer, and Rapp, would be ruled out. What we didn't know was that Rapp was headed for IR. So is there a bigger plan in place that, beyond this week for safety, or do you think they're just going to try to get by with what they have? And how much, if at all, do you think Jordan Hancock might figure into that?
Well, Sean also said to the media today that they were still working through who would play in place of Taylor Rapp. Now, I think that some of that is competitive and coach speak, because to me it just screams it's going to be Jordan Poyer after what we saw 2 weeks ago. But if they feel that Jordan Hancock is ready for a bigger role, then I could see him playing a little bit more, and maybe we see all three of those guys, meaning Cole Bishop, Jordan Poyer, and Jordan Hancock on the field. We'll see. It is interesting to me, like during the his radio interview with me, when I asked him, what do you do? What does self-scout mean? Does self-scout mean these are our tendencies and what we need to do better? Or is self-scout, here's how teams are attacking us and having success, and here's what we need to do to combat it? And he said it's a mix of both, but he also then mentioned, unprompted, personnel. And he talked about personnel and examining your personnel. And I'm wondering, does that mean we're going to see some personnel changes? And could that be something at safety? I just think that Jordan Poyer is probably the next man up. You're going to see him. I wouldn't be surprised. Jordan Hancock plays special teams. He'll be ready to go if they need him. And then when you talk about bigger picture guys, that would come in the form of, do they look outside the organization to bring somebody in? Now, they also have Cam Lewis, right?
Yeah, I was going to mention him. Yeah.
That's right. He's a backup nickel, but he plays safety, too. So you can put him there as well, although he's pretty much only been mostly a backup nickel this year. He does play dime safety because Jordan Hancock's been mostly at safety, not at nickel, since he's been drafted and in training camp. If you go outside the organization, I just think safety is one of those things where, boy, you could get somebody, but what is the onboard at that position, which like the quarterback of the defense and secondary versus some other spots on the board, and that's a little bit tougher.
Yeah, we were talking about this, I think, in the first hour of our show today, Sal, and, I don't want to get too greedy, but I think, like, for the big picture here, maybe the best case scenario would be a game where the Bills get comfortable, kind of like the Jet game, and then, because I also think that they would probably defer to experience in the form of Jordan Poyer or maybe even Cam Lewis. But if they can get a couple score lead, maybe or a little more into the third quarter, then maybe that's an opportunity to get Hancock on the field and, try to work out some of the, just knock some of the new off of him. And because I just think athletically, the idea of Poyer having to play safety against the Chiefs next week is going to keep me up at night.
I understand that, and I think that, that's a very big reason why they moved on from him, which is, he's just not a guy that you can trust back there covering, wide receivers running down the field and being in the right spot. Now, I do think that he is a guy that they can trust, and they believe they can trust at least, whether we'll see that in action through a whole 60 minutes of games of, being able to come up from his spot to help out in the run game and understand how the nuances work in the zone defense and to have all of that buttoned up. So no doubt. Look, it's a great idea you have, Bulldog, but obviously you got to be up 2 scores to have that happen, right?
Yeah, right.
And right now, this offense, they're going to have to do their part to have something like that happen.
Before we get there, how about the guys coming off suspension? Sal, I know we've talked about this already this week, but any reason to think there'd be limitations on Hoyt or Ogunjobi, especially maybe Ogunjobi with Daquan Jones missing?
No, I think they're both full go. Healthy amount of snaps and rotation. What that looks like, I don't know if it's okay. Well, I guess you could say back off on him a little bit in this game because of conditioning. That would be the only thing. You are playing in Carolina, but it's only going to be, 65 to 70 degrees game time. I don't think it's not overly hot, not like a Miami September game. So I think it's full systems go here, and I think that might just be predicated upon situation. Ogunjobi's going to have to play. He's just going to have to. They have 3 defensive tackles on the roster. They're going to have to elevate or sign somebody. My guess is, by tomorrow at 4 p.m., you might get Zion Logue signed to the 53-man roster because he's out of elevations. But you could go with Jordan Poyer. Heck, you could do both of them if you want. Sign him in Jordan Phillips, excuse me. You could elevate Jordan Phillips, and you could sign Zion Logue. But, you're going to go into this game, and if that happens, that might be an indication where maybe they want 5. Maybe they want that extra guy just to make sure that Ogunjobi can, handle a full workload. And then when it comes to Hoyt, I think that, too, is, hey, you got Bosa and Rousseau, and you got Hoyt and A.J. Epinesa. Those are your 4 main defensive ends. You could say Javon Solomon, but he probably goes back to more of a main special teams role. If he's even active, they'll have 6 defensive ends. And then Hoyt, he can kick inside. I could definitely see it's a 3rd and 8, and you could have Bosa and Rousseau outside and Hoyt and Oliver inside. I think that's like a scenario they've been planning for this year that they haven't been able to get to.
Do you have any sense at all what the self-scouting might have resulted in on the offensive side of the ball, Sal? Like, do you think we'll see – we've talked a lot about what are some things that have come up? We've had a little bit too long, in my opinion, or maybe even a lot too long to sort of stew in these back-to-back losses heading into the bye. But So what's come up a lot, Cook's usage in general, of course, is always a topic, but him in the passing game, something to offset pass rush or blitz, although Carolina, you already said, isn't going to be what Atlanta was, so maybe it's too late for that. But still, I feel like Cook in the passing game would be something to look out for Sunday against Carolina. And then there's been talk about moving Coleman around, and I don't know, do you have an appetite for that? Do you anticipate much of that?
I wonder, because of Palmer's situation, him being out, I don't know how much of that you can do. I look for maybe Curtis Samuel getting an increased role, because now that we know he's playing, Palmer's out, it seems like he would be the next guy up, where you kind of have to rely on him to win a little bit more on the outside. With him out, you're probably looking at Elijah Moore playing. So how many snaps are there inside for Coleman with Elijah Moore and Khalil Shakir, and then hopefully Dalton Kincaid playing? So I don't think so at this time, but look, that's very possible. They might look and say that's just our best way to get him open and on the field, and Khalil Shakir can move outside and he can play there, and we're going to have to figure out how to move him to spots where he can get open. So no doubt, I think one of the things they have to look at Tell Scouting is why some of these pressures have been hurting them more than in the past, or at least more than what you saw most of last year. I think you can go back to those two games last year, and the same thing happened in Baltimore and a little bit in Houston. 5-man fronts, guys coming from different spots. Why has that hurt them? And it goes back to what you just said. Running backs in the passing game, earlier answers for Josh Allen. But I think you have to figure out where the communication is on how to button that up front before you get to any of that in the first place.
Curtis Samuel revenge game narrative.
There you go.
40th pick, second round of the 17 draft. 3 picks after the Bills took Zay Jones. And sometimes when I think about the game the Bills last played in Carolina, which was 8 years ago, I think of Zay Jones. Was there a almost touchdown late?
Tyrod to Zay Jones, and there was a lot of debate. And Jones has talked at length about the sort of the spiral that sort of began for him early in his NFL career, right?
Yeah, so 2017, I remember this play clearly. It was right in front of me. If you go back and watch the video, I'm literally standing right there where it happened, and I remember this so clearly because there was such a debate after the game on, was it a pass that should have been better, or was it a pass that should have been caught? I think you could go either way on it, to be quite honest with you. I don't know. I mean, I think that he was open enough that Tyrod probably could have placed it in a better spot, but man, Zay Jones saw that ball. He had every opportunity to be able to get to it, and he probably should have caught it, and that was a tough one because that was Sean McDermott's first game back in Carolina, obviously. It's right after he came to the Buffalo Bills, and, the Bills had just won their game against the Jets, and then you're like, oh, my God, this would have been a nice game to have, and they did. And I remember that game, and then, yeah, you're talking about, who was it? Curtis Samuel. And Curtis Samuel, hey, a revenge game for him, revenge game for Joe Brady, right? I mean, to go back to Carolina, the team that fired him, by the way, right? The team that fired him, he's going to want to have a little bit of, this organization – yeah, while they gave me a shot, they also got rid of me pretty quickly here. So I'm sure that he would like to have something on his plate for that.
Makes sense. Well, who knows how this will go? The Bills are favored by 7.5. It was 8, but there's been some move toward Carolina here. I've been asking Bulldog these weeks, Sal, if there's a game that the Bills win, but like you feel like you won't be impressed or you'll be maybe even negative about it. Is this that game possibly? Like, what does Monday sound like if they squeak one out?
I guess it depends on the manner in which they squeak one out. Joe DiBiase asked this morning, would you feel better if they win 41-31 or if they win 20-13? And honestly, that's a good question. And I think I think most would say 41-31. I would not. I think I would say 20-13 because that would tell me that, okay, the defense did a much better job. I think that's trending better. And I think I can trust at some point Josh Allen and the offense will be fine. If it's 41-31, I'm thinking, how did Andy Dalton just light up this defense? 31 points. I don't care that Josh Allen scored 41. I need this defense to be better, and now I'm definitely not convinced that they're going to be.
Got it.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good little thought experiment because, what does everybody want? We want 41-10, right, or 35-10. Like, explode on offense and get the defense together. But it's hard, I mean, the defense has had their share of injuries, and they still do. And there are even guys this week that are still questionable, right? Bernard and Milano both, right?
Yeah, that's right. They're both questionable, and I think by what I've seen at practice, they've looked good. They've been back at practice. They've been limited all week. So I think that's trending well for them to play. We'll see if they're active. But to me, I think both of them wind up playing just kind of based on what I've watched throughout practice this week. And then you have Shaq Thompson. Oh, by the way, another revenge game, right? Shaq Thompson going back to Carolina. A lot of ties there. And, it's a guy that he said he told me in the locker room yesterday he doesn't have emotions about it right now. But, when you start to play a little bit, he spends a lot of time there, obviously. First-round pick back in Carolina. So we'll see if he's the guy that they put on the field as a third linebacker. If he's a guy that winds up playing even more, if they want to spell Matt Milano a little bit at weak side. So, yeah, I think the linebackers are a very big part of this, and the personnel usage of them and what you see. So it's a game, too. The Bills have played a lot less nickel this year, but I don't know. I mean, this isn't a team that runs a ton of heavy personnel, so I don't expect to see a lot of base sets. I still think that Taron Johnson plays a prominent role, and he has. It's not that like he's ever off the field a ton, just a little bit more than normal. And I think you go back to a little bit more nickel this game.
How interesting, if at all, did you find it that McDermott did not rule Maxwell Hairston out?
Interesting, right? I don't know. I found it interesting, but maybe it's just because of him being on the injury report. Now, it's the way it works. It used to be if a guy was back from injury, designated to return, you didn't even have to list him on the injury report. It was just like, okay, they activate him, they do. For him, now the rule did change, though. Once a guy comes back from injury from designated to return, you must list him every day so that competitively the opponent can see what he's doing every day from a limited or full capacity, and then having a questionable designation at least gives you the thought of maybe he'll play. I still can't see it. From what he said to me on the radio this morning, still about expectations and tempering expectations. It just feels like to me that it's not quite ready. I will say this, though, guys. I thought it would be Miami. I'm thinking now that he might play against Kansas City.
Next week. Very good.
Yep.
All right, Sal, have a good time down there. We'll talk again on Monday.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
There's Sal Capaccio on our Wester hotline. His appearances are always brought to you by New York's only outlet liquor. When you need to stock up, it's the place to buy a case. What's your outlet?
Picks next.
I guess.
I don't see one interesting college football game here. There are some big shots who are not playing this week. Ohio State is not playing. Notre Dame. Georgia. Probably someone else. It should be an even number, right?
I would think so, yeah.
I just can't. Not a single one looks interesting to me. I'm not just going to copy Sam. Plus, that'd be going against Vanderbilt, who just won for me, and that wouldn't feel good.
Yeah. I'm going to get right back on the Friday night horse.
Okay, there are a couple games.
I got smoked by Minnesota last week. I had Nebraska minus something or other, and they lost 24-6 to Minnesota.
Yeah. You were trying to figure out the quarterback's name.
Dylan Raiola.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah, I called him Dominic. There was a center from Nebraska, I think, named Dominic Raiola. I don't know if they're even related. I've never looked. But is that his dad by chance? I don't even know. It is. Okay. So that's why I had Dominic Raiola in my head. It was a former center from Nebraska.
I'm thinking more of cosplay.
Yeah, well,
that was.
I didn't know how to say that. I didn't want to say it wrong. I don't know. It's not a word I've ever said.
You got to pick a team whose quarterback you know who it is.
Well, I didn't know.
No, I've never done that.
I knew who that guy was.
I don't know the quarterback on any of these teams.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm
Smith.
I don't want to divulge yet because we haven't played the music and the whole open and everything.
All right.
But I have a game from tonight.
Love it. I saw there were a few.
Yeah.
Picks coming up. The Sabres host the Leafs pregame at 6 with Paul Hamilton. Football Friday on WGR. The Friday Drive at 5 brought to you by Northtown Hyundai. Western New York's premier Hyundai dealership. Shop online at northtownhyundai.com. By Northwest Bank for what's next. Get started at northwest.com. And by Excelsior Orthopedics Express. Sidelined with a sprain, strain, or break. Get to Excelsior Orthopedics Express.
Hey, man, Bulldog here for Dash's Markets. This football
Taylor Rapp, and with Rapp, he is also heading to IR as he recovers from his knee injury. 4 players are also questionable, those being Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, Dalton Kincaid, and Maxwell Hairston. And for Hairston, he returned to practice this week for the first time since training camp as he recovers from his LCL injury. And then good news for Curtis Samuel, no game day status after being a full participant today. The Barnes Firm Injury Report, it is brought to you by The Barnes Firm. Injured for help, call 1-800-8-million. Pre-game on Sunday, we'll get underway at 7. We'll carry you all the way to kickoff at 1 p.m., where we'll then hand things off to Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio, who will be on the call from the Northwest Bank broadcast booth. Tonight, it is Sabres game night. They are home against Toronto. Pre-game at 6 for a 7 p.m. puck drop. For television purposes, it is an ESPN Plus and Hulu game. So if you do want to listen to Dan Dunleavy and Rob Ray, it's going to be right here on WGR. Alex Lyon expected to get the start in net, and then Jason Zucker looks to not miss any time after having to leave Wednesday's game early. And then for some minor league notes, Roddy Murka, this year's first-round pick, is being reassigned from Rochester to Seattle in the Western Hockey League. The team did announce that just a few minutes ago. And then another game going in Toronto, the World Series gets underway. Game 1 tonight, just after 8 o'clock, Blue Jays versus the Dodgers. Bo Bichette is in the lineup tonight for the first time since September 6th. He's going to be playing second base and batting fourth. That's Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet celebrating 90 years of being your hometown dealership. I'm Zach Jones for WGR Sports Radio 550.
What if I did do it? Even though I admit to nothing and never will. What does that make me? And I'm not here just defending myself, but all those pickers out there who've been caught. Each and every one of them. Who has to suffer the shame and humiliation because of people like you.
It's Mike Schopp and the Bulldog.
Are we not human? If we pick, do we not bleed?
On WGR.
I am not an animal.
Sports Radio 550.
Picks moved up with the Sabres game tonight, pregame at 6. How are we looking?
Team Bulldog is hopeful that the new time slot will be kind, because I can't make. I mean, I went 1-9 the previous 2 weeks. Stabilized last week to 3-2. Like, okay, maybe I can make up some ground. Nope.
4-1.
You're over here with a 4-1. So I'm down bad.
But you got one last night. My Thursday night luck has certainly run out. Not close.
But you are 25-13-2 on the year.
All right.
Which is, I mean, that is a hearty winning rate.
Good thing I don't bet.
I am 18-24-1, which is not so great.
No, but, you'll be back. Maybe.
I don't know.
I still don't have any idea on college. I might as well just pick one at random. Okay, picks. Here we go. Start with the pros. That's what I care about. I will take Baltimore. -7 at home against Chicago. This line hasn't really moved. It's been Ravens by a touchdown all week. Presuming Jackson plays, right? Like, if he's not playing in this game, the Bears are favored. We saw this when they played Houston earlier in the season, and the line went 10 points or more the other way. Mm-hmm. It feels like people know, and he practiced in full today, but they're still calling him questionable. They did also, I think, announce, or it was reported that Tyler Huntley will start if he doesn't.
Yeah.
But it just feels like they know he plays, and I'll give Baltimore another shot here to sort of save their season. -7 against the Bears. The Bears have not been bad. They've been a little lucky. 1-point wins. It's one of those where I think the numbers tell you the Ravens. Pick 2, Houston at home, -2.5 over San Francisco. It's just a buster vibe I have with Houston. Defense is pretty good, and Brock Purdy is going to miss again. Back out. Mac Jones, everybody's out on San Francisco constantly. Still no Pearsall. Their injury list is just incredible. So I'm giving less than a field goal at home with the Houston team. There's some hope there. You can't like their offense. They really just don't do anything well.
This is a very weird line to me. This is not a weird line to you. San Francisco's banged up, but they keep finding a way. Even with Mac Jones and your name here playing receiver, they just they're not killing people, but they're getting by. And Houston is kind of uneven. I'm struggling with that line.
Uneven is the word, and that's why I like them. Because it's only 2.5, and they just lost. So I'll take the Texans. Pick 3, Pittsburgh. Sunday night at home, +3 against Green Bay. You know, is Green Bay that good? Is this a team that just really impresses you? They get through it. I want to think that they're that good. I want to think that Jordan Love is that good. I want to think that Jordan Love has a big night against Rodgers. I'd love to see that. I just don't feel it. Pittsburgh coming off a loss, first place, points at home. I'll take the Steelers. Pick 4, the Jets. Now we're having some fun.
This is.
Now we're having some fun. Now we're having some real fun.
You wait till you see how much fun we're about to have.
Well, I don't want to be rude by what I would have said about this game, knowing that you're going to take Cincinnati, and you could easily be right. But it just feels like, who would take the Jets? This guy. I will take the Jets. Maybe Fields even plays here. Tyrod Taylor is not healthy. He's not ruled out. But we don't know who the quarterback is. One of these weeks, it just doesn't all go wrong for them. They could have won the game in London, 13-11. And Cincinnati is not good. I think we talked about this, where you have this kind of situation with Flacco. Mm-hmm. And I think the Bills are maybe in a scary spot in this same way, where the veteran goes in. I mean, Flacco is new besides, but the veteran goes in and, there's a spark. It doesn't mean that he won't throw 3 picks here. If they can get to Flacco, look out. I mean, you could always say that. I think the Jets might have that gear, and they're due to win. Jets +6.5 at Cincinnati.
Nothing is more true than the Jets are due to win. They're the only winless team in the league. So, yeah, they are due to win.
Cincinnati giving 6.5 is just not where I want to be standing.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. I'll take Boise State. I don't know who they're playing or what the line is.
Yeah.
I'll take Boise State. I had enough time to pick one. I couldn't pick one.
I was mistaken. I didn't say this on the air yet, right? I told you off the air. I was wrong. I said I got a game tonight. That was the game I was going to pick. But then I got a little further into the schedule and found another game I liked in college. So I don't have that Boise State game.
That's why I took it.
They're playing on the road in Nevada. Right.
21.5.
Okay. Well, the reason I said we're going to have a lot of fun here is because 3 of the 4 NFL picks I have the other side in. And that didn't just happen because you picked them. They were in here. If you want to see a timestamp, I'll show you. I'm going to take the 49ers. I thought you'd say something about the line being fishy. To me, San Francisco is the better team there. And for them to be getting 2.5 points at a kind of ragged Houston team is a reason, if you were a more savvy gambler, to avoid it. But I'm just going to take San Francisco in the points. I'm going to trust Shanahan and Mac Jones, who probably is a starter next year somewhere with another good game or two. And I just do not trust Houston at all. The one pause that I will have about this game is their edge guys getting to Jones. That could be real trouble because Jones is not someone I trust to get out of there.
I might not have Nico Collins
effectively.
Either. Concussion.
So I'm going to take San Francisco in the points. I'm going to take the Packers. I think Micah Parsons could decapitate Aaron Rodgers on Sunday. So I'll lay the 3 there with no hesitation. I have a little more hesitation about the Bengals and the 6.5. But no Sauce Gardner, no Garrett Wilson. I think Flacco will be open for business again with Higgins and Chase. So I'll roll the dice on a second Flacco resurrection week. I'm also going to take the Bills. I think the Panthers are in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think this is a very good team that's had a rough couple of weeks and a rough week of analysis from the outside. Not that I would think they're paying a lot of attention to it, but I love the Bills this week. I just think there's a buzzsaw coming. So we'll see. I mean, I'll be here to answer for this on postgame. Bills minus 7.5.
No one's going to blame you
Right? No,
on postgame if they lose.
That's right. So I like the Bills, and I like them big. And my college football game will be, I just did that thing that so many announcers do by saying football. Everyone knows we're talking about football, but I said football game.
Now you just said it 4 more times.
I don't know why I just did that. I'm going to take Indiana, minus 25.5, hosting UCLA.
Okay. Number 2, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that Monday Night Crew with Orlovsky and Riddick.
Yeah.
That rare is the segment between plays where you don't hear the word football at least once. I mean, it's just often, sometimes it's 5 times. And it's just so annoying. I am easily annoyed by announcers. I know that. But can you just stop? And those games have stopped now. So that should be it. Until maybe late in the season on a Saturday or a wild card game or something.
Right.
But no more Monday night doubleheaders. Right? That's it. Yeah, that's it for the season.
I never look that far ahead. I only concentrate on 1 week at a time, Mike.
You know, actually, I'm wrong about what postgame could sound like if they lose. Because somebody, if they're listening and they care enough about this, which, don't. But if they do, and they're going to hear you, remember Bill's big from you, and they might say, when are you going to realize this team's flaws? It's never going to change. We'll get that call a lot. We'll get that call a few times on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it can be, you guys, I'll be roped in. You guys just are blind to their faults, to their weaknesses.
There might be people out there like pre-recording that call to call and play like just like they make all the points they want to make the way they want to make them.
I might do that myself and call in from the hallway.
I might actually just go up to the attic at some point tomorrow afternoon and call whoever. There's probably nobody. No, there'll be somebody in here during Sports Talk Saturday. And the Sabres play at 5 o'clock, so there'll be people on the board. I might just start recording segments for postgame. Just so I have it all canned. I'll send you a script.
If you really mean this pick, I know you want to record how good they look.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. And how Jordan Hancock got to play the whole second half because the Bills were up by so much.
Yeah. Well, they might want him to anyway, if it's close.
Yeah, maybe. But,
right?
Yeah, I'm referring to the scenario I've talked about a couple times where they get out front and they can sort of, let's see if this guy can play because we may need him because relying on Poyer for 4 weeks might be a tough call.
I want to see it, rather than just assume that he's just so far past his prime. I want to see it. With these kinds of things, though, you look at the evidence, right? I mean, the Bills let him go. They thought he had aged out, and then Miami brought him in, and it didn't look that they were wrong. And then that ended, and now he's back, and the role he's brought back to play makes sense. Some sort of a player coach kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's a likely starter, and he might be for a while. And I don't think they want to be there. So,
no.
But I don't know what he's going to look like. It's just kind of putting 2 and 2 together.
I would be really surprised, if not flat out stunned, if he doesn't look bad.
How would he look bad? It would be Dowdle gets the edge and the safety's not on the screen.
It's just foot speed on anything.
But he should know where to be on the field.
That's right.
Like, I wouldn't assume, well, what is this to say? Like a pick is possible for Jordan Poyer against Andy Dalton, because of both guys.
Yep.
That he's going to read a play and maybe atone for whatever you can see going bad.
Yeah, I happily eat the big bowl of crow on that if he makes a play and really helps them. But I'm really nervous about him playing.
The Sabres are home to the Leafs tonight. Pregame at 6 with Paul Hamilton. Mike Schopp and the Bulldog here. Football Friday on WGR. Join WGR and Bud Light for a Buffalo Football Friday happy hour next Friday. Live at Neighbors Pub, 3 to 7, Neighbors Pub, 337 Kenmore Avenue. We will have your chance to enter to win a Josh Allen jersey. No purchase necessary. Enjoy other live broadcasts coming up this in the coming weeks. Leo's and also Mitchell's. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly, 21 plus. 3 games that did not come up in picks that I wanted to bring up here before we get to hockey. Dallas at Denver. That's, to me, a very intriguing late game. I have liked the Cowboys all season, and they're a blast to watch. I mean, they can score like crazy, and their defense is bad, so you get some wild games with them. You know, Denver's defense is great, so that's a pretty good matchup, and it'll look great. If I were to have picked the game in picks, I would have been on Dallas. Just try to be consistent with, have a bet on them to win the division and sort of liking how that's trending. And Denver, Denver's due to lose. Come on, with that last week debacle with the Giants.
Yep. I had a hard time with it. I thought about that game, and I just couldn't get to a side with any confidence. Not that that really matters. I'm having a terrible year in picks as it is, but I just that game just went. I don't know, because Denver, it could be a game where their offense just everything comes easy because Dallas is so bad on that side of the ball.
3.5. Also, I would have taken the points with the Browns at New England. I think New England is another one where I feel, if not yourself also, like I was right. My instincts were right on the Patriots. Pretty good, easy schedule, but they're not so good that they're killing anybody.
Right.
Yeah, and the Browns' defense is great.
Big number, yeah.
So I wouldn't pick Cleveland to win the game. It wouldn't surprise me if they did, though, because when your defense travels and New England is just not so all that that's like a given that they'll win. And also the Chiefs Monday night, 11.5 is where that's sitting against Washington. This is more of a weakness, I think, in my game because I just am always sheepish about like the big numbers. Indianapolis is 14.5.
I thought about taking Tennessee, but I lost on Tennessee the last time they played the Colts. I can't keep doing it. But that's a huge number. And I did. I had it all in my head too. Like looking at that game, like, really? 14.5? Like what are we doing here? But they keep rolling, so I didn't get there.
It's that half.
Yeah.
They have to charge you that half tax. Chiefs though, no Daniels. Doesn't surprise me either. It sounds like I'm kind of bragging. I don't mean to be. It doesn't surprise me this year either that Washington has not been good. I kind of thought that would happen. Then week 1 came along, and I'm like, I'm going to be on the Giants at Washington, and that busted.
Right.
So I just sort of gave up. But they've not had a good season.
You were wrong week 1, but right in the big picture.
You like the Chiefs to blow them out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got pretty close to taking that. The Chiefs minus the 11.5.
I don't like this game because the Reds clash.
Yeah.
Red versus
maroon or whatever.
Burgundy.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's tough.
Cherry red. Kansas City. Cherry red.
Is that what that is?
What do you think about wearing...
Stupid Chiefs red is what it is.
Would you ever wear white at home next week?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
Kansas City wears red?
Yeah.
Their home uniform?
I would do that.
Those uniforms do look great together. We've certainly seen enough of it. The Bills blue and the Chiefs white is pretty good, though. Well, now we have something to talk about next week.
I can't wait.
We'll see what happens. All right, next up, Sabres pregame.
Go Bills.
Paul Hamilton with us to start things off, Sabres and Leafs. Thanks for listening. Football Friday continues with Hockey Talk.